If you had an online job before this corona thing was all over the place, then you're probably well off and you haven't noticed much difference before and after the quarantine. If you haven't had any online job before this quarantine thing took over and you're stuck at home with your kids as a stay-at-home parent because apparently you can't do your offline job, here's what you can do in order to earn some extra money and some extra income while performing your parental responsibilities at the same time. Before we dive into the list, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon right next to it so that to be the first to watch the new episodes and continue watching. I've been earning money from home before I had kids and after that as well. The difference between the two when you work from home as a childless person and when you work from home with your kids around is tremendous. So today I'll be focusing on those work-at-home jobs that allow you to work from home on a part-time basis, because obviously when you are a parent who homeschools their kids all the day, so you cannot commit to a full-time job. So today I will be focusing on part-time jobs mostly. But if you are interested in higher paid work-at-home jobs, then make sure to check out all of my other videos on this channel. The links are in the description. So first, I'll provide you with some things that I did, so you will be having a first-hand experience here, and then some ideas that I found interesting. So the first thing I did when my kids were like 5 or 6 months old, they are twins, was teaching. I've been teaching before my kids were born, while pregnancy, and several months after giving the birth to my children. I've been teaching offline, meaning that students came to my tiny apartment at that time and we studied together offline. Today, however, you will be able to do that online, and now is actually the time. Now is the time to start teaching, online teaching, because of the quarantine. Everybody is studying online now. Everybody is teaching online now. So even if the best thing you can do is to help students do their homework online, I'm sure many parents would be grateful for you doing so that they will be able to focus and to concentrate on other activities rather than homeschooling their kids 24/7. And if you can help with something specific, if you can teach something specific like math or science or foreign languages, way to go here. You can start with such resources as WebKit or advertise yourself on your local resources or through word of mouth. But this thing is profitable and this one is definitely something that will help you to pay your bills. So the next thing I did was books writing. Now, I won't say that this one will help you to earn, huge amounts of money, and this one might not get your bills covered. So if you're looking for higher paid jobs, skip this one or turn to the previous one, because teaching is definitely something that helps you to pay the bills, proven. But this one is a pleasant extra income while you're doing something that you enjoy. So if you're something who is good with writing and who enjoys writing books, this one might be a very pleasant additional to your daily income, to your monthly income. Now let me explain. Writing has always been my passion and I've been writing all my life. But during my maternity leave, which was pretty lengthy one, I took it to the next level. Like, I wrote a huge novel, huge fantasy novel in just 3 months, and I started selling it on the local resources, and it started selling, and I started to become, sort of famous as a Russian fantasy writer. And after that, in the course of the next 8 years, I wrote about 8 or 9 novels that I started to sell on the local resources as well. And since then, these books still make me money. That first book that I finished is still making me money. It's a tiny income compared to all the others, of course, but it's just a pleasant addition to your income. You can do it differently. Become a ghostwriter. To that end, go to related resources, starting with Upwork, and look for openings there. However, I won't say that ghostwriters make much, because this is a lot of work and you won't be paid much. But as a side extra income, it might do. So the next one is articles and website content creation. You can call it copywriting, but at that time there was no such word. I didn't know such a word. I've been just writing articles. I've been proposed with the job and I started making money. I wrote articles for Russian Orthodox resources and for some political resources as well. And I started working with one major client. So my advice is, if you want to make this work and if you want this one to cover your bills, find that one major client who will cover most of your workload so that you don't lose time looking for new contracts and new clients. So if you found one major client, this one can definitely cover your bills, at least it did in my case. And the next one flew out of the previous one, and that is social media management. And that was something that I already covered like dozens of times, but if you want to dive deeper into the topic, here is a great interview with someone who works as a social media manager, so you can get a lot of insights from Chantel. So watch this interview after this one. The link is in the description, so you can watch that episode after this one. My experience here was basic. That same client for whom I wrote content for their website proposed me to also write content for their social media groups. And I gladly accepted, of course, the offer for some extra pay. I created content and I scheduled that content for those social media groups while day nap of my children. So typically my children slept like 2 hours per day, I mean during the day is a day nap, and during that period of time I managed to get all the content done for the entire week for that company. Now the experience of writing articles and creating all sorts of content for websites and on different topics as well helped me to get my first job in IT, first full-time remote job in IT, and that is IT copywriter. You probably noticed that we haven't moved much from the writing direction, but that is only because I give you everything from my perspective as of yet, so that you get an understanding that if you have one major skill, in my case it was writing, you can find all sorts of jobs based around that skills. But why I mention IT copywriting as a separate job is because IT jobs pay more. If you're someone who is interested in tech-related topics, who can represent tech-related content in an interesting and engaging way, I strongly advise you to consider this one and to become a IT copywriter, because this is definitely something that will get your bills covered. Now, these are all the jobs that I tried, and let's throw in some more interesting jobs into the list. And the first one among these would be virtual receptionist. An example here would be Smith AI, where you answer calls and where you answer web chats for a variety of business and professionals, and there you must be available 4 hours per day, which we already discussed, like part-time job, 5 days a week. Shifts are broken into 2 and 5 hours blocks, but this one is for US and Canadian applicants only. However, I'm sure that you may try to find something related in your local job market or in some companies that hire internationally. The next one, and I'm relating here to IT industry as well, is IT support, because the second type of IT jobs that is typically performed remotely is IT support. And especially for US or Canadian applicants, there are lots of opportunities out there. If you have a degree, if you have a tech or some skills training in IT, this one is the way to go. And now let's get down to earth, and the next profession that we will be discussing is home daycare. Do I really need to explain? With this quarantine thing all over the place, most people and most parents struggle having to homeschool their children and having to babysit their children while trying to work at the same time, or having to go to an offline work, to some offline shifts. And this is where you can help them. So you will be able to watch after your own kids and to watch after your, for example, neighbors' kids, and thus earn some extra money, and this one will definitely get your bills covered. And even when there is no emergency, no disaster like this corona thing, I'm sure that home daycare is something that will always be in high demand. I'm not sure about your area, because you might be living in some remote place with few children, but in my 1.2 million city, the demand for home care is more than there is a supply. So I strongly advise you to try this one, especially if you have to home sit and to babysit your own children. This one allows you to combine both. The next one is homemade crafts. I'm sure that you have heard about websites that allow you to sell homemade stuff, but I urge you to consider this one again, especially things like baby wear or some women's stuff. If you're good with crafts and if you can produce something interesting, and I strongly advise you to focus on either babies or children's stuff or on women's stuff. then this one will help you to earn some extra income. Now, my having zero experience in this field, I cannot say whether this one will help you to get your bills covered, but this one might be a pleasant extra income, the same as books writing, pleasant extra income to your major occupation. So this is how, by committing to some part-time stay-at-home jobs, you might not only not lose your qualification, but actually acquire some extra skills, like I did while my maternity leave. Who knows, you might want to shift your direction afterwards. This is it for today. Thanks for watching till the very end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, let me know in the comments what you didn't like so that I don't repeat same mistakes again. And subscribe if you still haven't, and I would love to see you next week. Have an amazing week, have a great mood, grow professionally, grow personally. You have all the time in the world, I hope, not as a stay-at-home parent. Okay, and see you next Wednesday. Bye.